This is AutoLab.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Dylan.
And this is the CX50.
Mazda's introduction to off-road SUVs.
This is AutoLab.
Two guys reviewing cars and filming whatever happens in the process.
If you like what you see, subscribe and check out all of our other social media.
This is my first time driving a CX50. I can tell you right off the bat, it drives amazing. I love the interior, widescreen Apple CarPlay, you've got a heads-up display, as well as a lot of visibility. I mean, I'm driving down Harrisburg, Pennsylvania right now, and I can see everything behind me, in front of me, beside me. I've got a heads-up display here that shows me my speed as well as the speed limit, which is amazing. It's not like other heads-up displays that will show you your RPMs and your turn signal and all that stuff, but this one will, if activated, show you navigation and route guidance. Now, if you're a long-time AutoLab fan, and I love you if you are, you know that we reviewed a 4th generation Mazda 3, which was my personal car. So that's a car that I'm around all the time, and there's a lot of similarities here. It's almost like all the good things about that car were brought into this, and all the bad things were fixed. Now, me and Matt are going to talk about the interior a little later, but I am going to just briefly touch on a couple things. You've got heated and ventilated seats, as well as a heated steering wheel, which I am using gracefully right now. You do have a slightly digital display, just a screen in the middle, a lot like the CX-5 and the Mazda 3, which shows you your speed limit as well as some other driver information. This is Mazda's intro to their off-road segment, just like the CX-90, which we also reviewed today, is their more up-step to luxury. This one's meant to off-road, and you don't really get the sense of that in this car other than its rugged appearance, because it drives so nice, it like glides down the road. I'm on the highway right now, and honestly, this is a very relaxing thing to drive. I will say the lane keep assist may not be as good as some other cars out there, but it still works very well. I mean, it'll keep between the lines, and sometimes you do feel it going from one line to the other, but honestly, as long as you're paying attention and actually driving, it's not a big deal. And like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, but we're gonna talk about the interior a little later on. But you do have a panoramic sunroof here, which is just a little bit behind where your head is gonna be, unless you're someone extremely tall. Which honestly doesn't bother me much, but I can see why some people that have to sit up really high, shorter people, for instance, would be hitting their head up here. Matt won't stop blowing up my phone right now to be able to drive this car, so I'm gonna wrap up my portion.
So now that Dylan finally let me drive the vehicle for once today, I'm glad that I actually get to sit in this car and experience how it drives, because this does remind me a lot like the Mazda 3, and it honestly feels quite well compared to a lot of other Mazdas that I've driven. The Mazda 3 is probably one of my favorite Mazdas that I've ever driven, and this shows everything special about that car in the correct way. It feels great to drive. The steering feels pretty good. It is electric, but it's not as good as Mazda's 3 electric steering. It doesn't have as good of a feedback feeling that you would expect out of most hydraulic steering standards. Besides that, it does still feel very good and still very responsive, but it's not as good as what Mazda has done previously on some of their other electric steering cars. Moving on to the specs of this car, this is a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine making 227 horsepower, but 310 foot-pound of torque. And that, combined with its off-roading suspension and kind of setup, it makes it feel like a really good sport utility vehicle. And when you go into corners, that off-roading suspension coupled with the electronic steering makes it feel very confident, and no matter what corner you take, it actually feels very confident despite everything that I did say about the electric steering. It makes it feel like if you were to take this off-road, it's gonna know exactly what to do, and you're still gonna feel comfortable. And this is Mazda's intro to off-roading vehicles, and it's that good. So, I'm at my destination. Dylan's sitting here waiting for me, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about the exterior and the interior.
So, tell me what you think.
Dude, I love this.
Yeah. The turbocharged 4-cylinder is an amazing engine. Produces a good amount of power, a good amount of torque.
It does.
It doesn't have quite the towing capability of the CX90.
No, but
Which
still, 3,500 pounds is still pretty good for, wanting to tow around a boat or a kayak or anything like that going down off-road.
But I feel like to be an off-roader, I would want it to tow more. Imagine you want to go on a camping trip, you want to do a camper. Right. And the thing is, Mazda reinforced the B-pillars here to be able to lift more weight here.
You can put a whole tent on top of it.
Yeah, they do put a whole tent on there, which is, I think, rated to hold some heavy people.
Yeah.
And they reinforced this specifically for that option.
Exactly.
But you can't tow as much as the CX90, and that just kind of hits me wrong.
Right, but you have to think about it. A Mazda 3, 3,500 pounds. This can tow your entire car.
True.
So it's plenty of weight for whatever people really want to do with it. But the styling of this,
I like it.
It's a more aggressive Mazda 3. Lifted.
That's an interesting way to put it, because it's basically that. It's got a very off-roading aspect. You've got your thick plastic here.
Yeah.
Right? You've got much more rugged because of the styling here.
The styling, everything, the mean grille and everything that's much more jagged.
I do like it. Obviously, the Mazda long front hood.
The long hood with the 2 stripes going down, it looks beautiful.
It does. Even, the stance. I love the stance of this car. It's wide and low.
Yeah.
And I really like that, as opposed to like the CX5, which this car is eventually going to replace.
Yep.
It's a bit taller, a bit more narrower.
This is one of the first SUVs I don't mind driving. Right?
That's a good,
Most other SUVs that I've driven kind of felt like I was sitting at a dinner table. Right?
Yeah.
Just kind of sitting there holding the wheels and everything.
And the car's just kind of doing its thing.
Yeah.
This one is
great.
definitely more of a driver's car than like the CX90. The CX90 is a lot more luxury. This is more for drivers. This is more for off-roading and experience.
Yeah.
I do like the interior a lot. We'll get into that.
We'll get into that. But continuing down, if you look down the angle of this car, it's just so curvy and wavy.
It's got big hips.
It's got
it's like the Z. It's got really big hips on both sides. I like this color a lot. See, this car comes in also gray, and it comes in like a tannish beige.
I love the gray and the tan, especially with the brown interior that we saw at the auto show.
The brown interior was nice, and we did a short on that car if you want to go check it out.
Yeah, check out our TikTok if you want to see a bunch of other content and everything.
The back, it's okay.
The back's nice. We'll put up some B-roll of it. It looks pretty decent for what it is. I mean, it looks like a Mazda hatch. It looks great.
The front of the car is better.
The front of the car is better. I like the front better than the back, but it still matches the car, especially the tail lights.
Oh, yeah.
Tail lights
are definitely more rugged, less refined. A lot of Mazda's cars are refined, contemporary. This one is the most rugged one that they have put out there, and I love it. I'm here for it. I would love to see the next generation of it. I'd love to see what else they do with this kind of design.
I would hate to get hit by this car.
I would hate to get hit by any car, Matt.
Let's check out the interior.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Thoughts?
The car, okay, Mazdas have grown on me in general. Compared to when we first filmed the Mazda 3,
yeah,
they've just grown on me.
Yeah, it's almost like every time we get in a different Mazda,
I'm impressed.
It's just a little bit more luxurious than the last,
Yeah, like we did the Mazda 3, then the CX50, then the CX90, but technically we did the CX90 first. You'll see the CX90 video first.
Well, yeah, but we've seen the CX50 before the CX90 at the PA Auto Show.
That's true.
So my point still stands that every time we see a Mazda, they're just slightly more luxurious than the last time. I'm here for it. I love this car. I like the CX90 a lot.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be able to take it out for longer. The build quality. I just want to talk about the build quality, right? The leather feels amazing.
Right.
The leather on the dash there, right? We'll get some B-roll of that. Feels great. It's padded, but not too padded.
It reminds me
the
of kind
texture.
of like a Bronco and Jeep kind of vibe, but not at the same time, right? Like it's kind of its own thing. This car looks and feels like it's an off-roader, but it also feels like it can do anything it really wants to. It's luxurious. Everything feels amazing.
And that's what it's meant to do. Mazda's aiming this as a very utilitarian vehicle. You can put a bunch of strollers in the back if you want to, but you can also put your whole family and those strollers and a tent and a camper in the back and go camping. But this car is very, like I said, utilitarian. It's got lots of different uses between family usage, camping, off-roading, fun, luxury.
Yeah.
All of it fits
think
this
about
car.
it. I have heated and ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel. All of that combined with the amazing remote start package that this car has. For $12 a month, I mean, you get everything.
Heated seats back here.
And you have rear heated seats?
Yep.
Yeah.
And not the center, but on both sides. You do have a panoramic sunroof as well.
Yeah,
amazing.
That's the best part about this car because it makes the car feel open and lively.
I do wish, right, I'm being nitpicky here.
Yeah.
I wish that the panoramic sunroof came back a little more.
I did notice that. I wish it came up a little bit further as well because in the driver's seat right now, I don't see the panoramic sunroof. Like,
Yeah.
it's more for you guys than me.
But that's just a nitpicky thing. That's really not a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can still, I can...
well, you can definitely lean your seat back and look at the stars, camping, whatever. This car actually...
Great for activities.
This car does have a lot of room in the back. The cargo space, phenomenal.
Especially since you can fold those two seats down, like
Yeah,
you just have a long straight through
even
bed.
without the seats down, it's big. You
Yeah.
fold the seats down and you've got like a whole king bed here. It's ridiculous.
It's amazing. You could probably put a full mattress in it. In fact, on other ones like we had mentioned, you can put the tent on the top and you're good to go.
Pretty wide too. This is a pretty wide car.
Yeah. Wide center console and everything like this.
I do like that it adopts the center console from the CX-30 and the Mazda 3. I do like that. I can't say that I don't like the CX-90 console because I love that console, the center console, but I've always been a fan of this ever since it came out in 2018 in the Mazda 3. The same gauge cluster as the 2 as well, which is like half digital, half analog. Not bad, right? Nothing to complain about there because it's very nice.
No, it's
360
great.
cameras.
360-degree cameras, parking sensors, pretty much everything that you would really need in a car.
Yeah.
This has pretty much everything that you could imagine. The only thing it doesn't have is, what, the key? The digital key?
Oh yeah, it's just missing smartphone key.
Yeah.
But like we said in the CX-90 video,
It has the technology.
It has
in
the
here,
technology.
so you can get the
over-the-air updates, so you can get it.
Yeah.
So really nothing to complain about here. I like the interior of this car. I like the way it drives.
Yeah.
I like the exterior. I mean, truthfully, if I was spending my money for a sedan, SUV of this size in this category
It would be
around
this
this price, this is the option I would pick. Realistically.
If I was picking a gasoline car, this would be it.
Yeah.
By now, I'm sure you get the point off of what me and Dylan have been saying about this vehicle. The Mazda CX50 genuinely has a lot to offer when it comes to its tech, its storage capacity, and genuinely just everything else, even though it does have that weird little vent in the middle that drives me insane. I really don't know what the designers were thinking. A huge thanks to Faulkner Mazda for allowing us to borrow the vehicle for the day, and thank you to you guys for watching. This is AutoLab.